today? Where is Haman? Where is Qarun? Where is Abu Jahl, Abu Lahab? Where are these people today? All gone. People don't even remember them. They're finished. But those people who remembered Allah, those people who feared Allah and had the true love of Islam, whenever Muharram comes, you mention them, people, don't you? Yeah? When your son or your daughter, when your son is born, you want to have the second name as Hussein. You want to have the second name as Hassan. You want to have the name as Imam Zainul Abidin. You want these people there. These people are still alive. They are still alive in our hearts. So my dear Islamic brothers, as one of the poets in Urdu, he says, Mile khak mein ahle Sham kaise kaise, Mile khak mein ahle Sham kaise kaise, Hue maqim ho gaye la makan kaise kaise, Hue namawar benishan kaise kaise, Zameen kha gayi naujawan kaise kaise. Jagah ji lagane ki duniya nahi hai, ye ibrat ki jah hai, tamasha nahi hai. When you talk about so and so people, and sometimes when people talk about it, even at this moment in time, there are so crazy people that can't even imagine that they've died. They can't even imagine, no, that can't happen, he's still alive. Oh, they've seen his ghost here, they've seen his ghost. People cannot imagine that these people can die. Zameen kha gayi, naujawan kaise kaise. My dear Islamic brothers, let me ask you, how many times do we remember the grave? But let me tell you, the grave calls out to you 5 times every day. 5 times. We don't remember the grave, but the grave calls out to you. It says that Hazrat Sayyidina Ismail bin Muhammad radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reports from Sayyidina Ka'b radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, who narrates that the beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when a person passes by a graveyard, the deceased, those people who are buried inside the grave, they call out to him. He cannot hear apart from the jinns and the humans. The birds and the animals, they listen to his voice. And what was that deceased, that buried person? He says, oh negligent person, if you knew what we know, then your flesh will melt like snow melts in the fire. If you knew, these people, they say to you, the deceased, if you knew what is going to happen to you, your flesh will melt like snow melts in the fire. My dear Islamic brothers, sins can cause a person to move away from Islam or even die as a kafir. Sins, when a person commits sins after sins after sins, what happens? Sometimes his iman is at risk. He could die. And let me mention one last story as to how our iman is in such danger today. Talking about looking at a society. I'm trying to paint a picture of the society today, what we are doing. When I'm reading this story, just think about, my dear Islam brothers, this story is 100% according to our own society today. It says that Sayyidina Imam Abu Muhammad rahmatullahi ta'ala, he says, 3 pious men set out without any luggage to go to Makkah al-Mukarramah. They had nothing. They went to Makkah al-Mukarramah. On the way they passed by a village. One of the pious persons, he saw a beautiful woman and fell in love with her. He was a pious person. I'm not talking about a drug dealer. I'm not talking about an alcoholic. I'm talking about a pious person. This is the fitna of a woman. That is why the Prophet ﷺ has taught us the dua. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnati nisa wa 'adhab al-qabr. Oh Allah, protect us from the fitna of the women and from the fitna of the jar, of the grave. And he says, this man, he fell in love with her. When they decided to move on and start the journey, the other pious man, he started making excuses. The other 2 pious men, they left him and they started with their journey. When the 2 pious men left the village, the one left behind went to the woman's father and told him of his intention to marry the girl. The father of the girl said to him, her mahr is very expensive. Mahr is wajib. If you get married, you have to give haq mahr to the woman. Some money or gold or something to the woman, and then the marriage becomes valid. He says that the father of that girl, he said that her mahr is very expensive, you can't afford it. And the man, he says, what is her haq mahar? And the father, he replied, leave Islam and become a Christian. Leave Islam, become a kafir, that is his mahar. And because this man was madly in love with his daughter, he accepted his offer and he became a kafir. And later married the girl. From that woman he had 2 children. A few years later when he died, when his 2 friends came back to the same village, they asked about their friend. And they were told that after they left him, he became a kafir. And now he has died, and took them to the graveyard. They saw a woman and 2 children sat near his grave crying. They all stood there crying. The woman, she said, why are you crying? And the 2 men, they explained to the woman and told her about his worship and about his piety. When the woman heard this, the love of Islam grew in her heart and she stood up and she embraced Islam. Sayyidina Shaykh Abu Muhammad rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, after mentioning this story, he says, Subhanallah, the one who was a Muslim died as a kafir, and those who were kafirs accepted Islam. And he says, he has a lesson at the end. He says, oh Muslims, you should always fear about the ending and pray to Allah Azza wa Jal for a good ending. Do we know we are going to die as Muslims? That is one question you need to ask yourself. We were born Muslims, alhamdulillah. We are Muslims, alhamdulillah. Are we going to die as a Muslim? No one knows that. We don't know if we're going to die as a Muslim. We might be committing such sins in our life. No one else knows them sins. You could be hiding in the room. You could be hiding away from your family. And how can you hide away from Allah? And you might have committed something seriously bad, that Allah Ta'ala, He has written down in your destiny that you are going to die as a kafir. And my dear Islamists, today we don't even think about this kind of thing. There's only one thing which worries us today. Hazrat Sayyidina Sultan Bahu, rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, such a great wali Allah, he writes a Punjabi poem. He tries to explain about the situation of his time. It wasn't long ago, which was just say about 70, 80 years ago. Hazrat Sayyidina Sultan Bahu, rahmatullahi alayhi, in his poem, he talks about the current situation in his time. He says, today people are saying, Iman salamat har koi mange. Iman salamat har koi mange. Ishq salamat koi hu. He says that today people are making dua that Allah Ta'ala protect their Iman, yet they are not making dua that Allah Ta'ala can protect that love they have for the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But today, totally different story. Totally different story. And if I say exactly in them same words, what we are making dua, Maan salamat har koi mange. Aisa rahe. I come here, where does it come from? Doesn't matter. Does credit card fraud? No matter, brother, I want a Ferrari, it doesn't matter where it comes from. Maan salamat har koi mange. Deen salamat koi hu. Who makes dua? When was the last time we went to our Sheikh? When was the last time we went to Imam Sahib and said, Maulana Sahib, please make dua, Allah Ta'ala protects my Iman. What happened? Maulana Sahib made dua. Can I get a good job? I'm in a job, I'm only getting paid 30 grand, I want a job 50 grand. But my neighbor, he's got a job better than me. Make dua, Allah Ta'ala gives barakah in my earning. We are asking for barakah. We are asking for this world. We are asking for one house, we want another. And we are so much in love with this world. But yeah, when it comes about the deen, Maal salamat har koi mange, deen salamat koi ho. I think those people who used to ask about the hereafter, they're probably buried in their tombs, or at this moment in time they might be worshipping in the mountains. Because my dear Islam brothers, if I put myself in that situation, we are not doing that. Suddenly, all our lives, we're 32, 33 years old. From day one, we've started growing in an environment where we're only bothered about the wealth of this world. And then that time will come. Imagine what we have done in this world, how much money we've got, yet still we are hungry, still we are not satisfied. Then that time will come when you'll be on your deathbed, your friends, your relatives, you're not going to be worried about anyone, about yourself. Let's make plans for that time. Let's try to change our lives. Let's try to really, when we worship Allah, let's try to worship Him from the bottom of our hearts. Not just to fill in that we go to the masjid, we read our namaz. Because that time is going to be very, very hard. No one's going to help you. No one is going to come and pay the Malakul Maut and says, leave him alone. He's a rich man here, there's some money, leave him alone and go. It's not going to happen like that. It's going to be you and your actions and the mercy of Allah. May Allah Azza wa Jalla protect our Iman. Ameen bi Ameer-e-Ahl-e-Sunnat. Sallamahul.